Hello folks, thank you so much for being here. My name is Scott and today we're going to be looking at Gilmore Girls Season 1, Episode 2, The Lorelai's First Day at Chilton. If you're new to these videos, then welcome. What we're going to do is we're going to have a little look at the context behind the pop culture references that pop up throughout the show because oh my gosh, there are so many pop culture references in Gilmore Girls. They can just fly over your head thick and fast, and some of them are so obscure you've got to think, where the heck are the Gilmores getting these references from? Seriously. So a little bit of context, a little bit of background behind them, and the next time you come to it on your personal watch through, you'll appreciate the reference, you'll appreciate the joke even more. And once we're done with the pop culture references, I'll share a little bit of select trivia, and then I'll give my thoughts on the episode that we've just been through. Of course, as you're watching, in the comment section down below, make sure to leave a comment on any pop culture references I bring up that you did know, and also any that you didn't know, any that you've just gone, oh my gosh, I've listened to that so many times, I never understood what it meant. Now I've got the context, now I've got the background. Make sure to leave that in the comments down below, and also make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. But enough of the introduction, let's jump into it. The episode opens. The Gilmore Girls are on their porch. Lorelai is painting her daughter's toenails in preparation for her first day at school, and Lane comes running up the lane with an announcement.
Guys, new CD, XTC, Apple Venus Volume 2. Oh, done!
But you only finished half my toes.
Who cares? You're gonna be wearing shoes anyway!
Lane has got her hands on the new CD from XTC, an English rock post-punk power pop band that came from Swindon in the 1970s. They were well known for their live, energetic performances and their refusal to play conventional punk rock, instead drawing influences from ska and avant-garde and dub music. They released 14 studio albums, and the one that's featured in the scene is in fact their last one, Wasp Star, Apple Venus Volume 2. Released in 2000, the band broke up in 2006, it is the companion to Apple Venus Volume 1, and it was conceptualized to be a double album, but instead released in two separate parts. It performed reasonably well, reaching 40 in the UK album charts, but didn't even break the top 100 on the US Billboard, which just goes to show how underground this group of ladies' music knowledge is, because they are excited to listen to the second part of a proposed double album from an English band from the 70s that came from Swindon. Not wrong with Swindon, but Swindon. Now it's time to begin Rory's first day at Chilton. They do the drive, they pull up, and they have this observation.
I remember it being smaller.
Yeah,
And less off with their heads.
yeah.
Off with Their Heads is a quote from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and it's spoken by the Queen of Hearts. She is a totalitarian, an authoritarian, and any little thing that irks her, anything that's out of place, she rules the proclamation, off with their heads. That's it, it is. Now I do find it a little bit weird that it was that quote that was decided on for the joke, because it's a very quick-paced script, but you really have to think, why would it be anything to do with Alice's Adventures in Wonderland? Well, I think there are three components that trickle in, maybe intentional, maybe not, but kind of tie it thematically between this little scene and Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So one, they're late. Lorelai overslept, they're running late for the first day at Chilton, and being late is something that appears in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland with the White Rabbit. Time is a pressing issue both in the book and in this scene. Two, Rory says, I remember it being smaller, which means that either the building has gotten bigger or the girls have gotten smaller. Either way, size has changed. And size changing is also a theme in the book. As Alice eats and drinks, she shrinks and she grows, the other way around rather, but she shrinks and grows, her size changes, and that's kind of what's happened here as well with their perspective of how big Chilton actually is. And three, I think the architecture of the place makes her think of the Queen's Kingdom in Alice in Wonderland, because we get these shots of gargoyles and statues of cockatrices and all of these things that give a sense of regality, but also a rather imposing regality, a rather, ooh, these have been built for grandeur, but it's sort of a grim grandeur. And the actual exterior of Chilton as well, with its fountains, it's kind of like a palace-esque type of thing, but not a really lovely, oh, let's go and fanciful explore. It's sort of the Queen of Hearts palace, which is actually a little bit imposing. That's the word of the day. And so all of that together, that is my explanation as to why Rory has that quip. It may be absolutely totally wrong, but I'm just trying to make sense of it before we all go mad. But hey, we're all a little mad here. That was another quote from the book as well. Let's carry on. Literally following on straight after this, they make yet another observation based in literature.
What are you looking at?
I'm just trying to see if there's a hunchback up in that bell tower.
That is a reference to The Hunchback of Notre Dame, a book by Victor Hugo published in 1831. It's a Gothic novel set in the Middle Ages, and it focuses on Quasimodo, who is a hunchback who lives in the bell tower in the cathedral in Notre Dame, and he works as a bell ringer. It's been adapted many times, arguably the most famous version being the Disney animated version, with some incredible music in that. Oh my gosh. What a soundtrack. It's nice to see how Lorelai's mind works though, seeing if there's anyone in the bell tower to ring out the time of day, considering her alarm clock didn't go off that morning. Maybe the bells will help. Now they've taken in the outside, it's time to be taken inside. And Lorelai has just found out that she needs to go and meet the headmaster, but the outfit that she's wearing today, it prompts this response.
Well, look at me. I can't meet anybody who does anything in there.
Mom!
No, I look like that chick from the Dukes of Hazzard.
That chick from the Dukes of Hazzard is Daisy Duke, who was played by Catherine Back in the TV show The Dukes of Hazzard, which ran from the late 70s to the mid 80s. She's the cousin of the two male leads, Bo and Luke, and they all live together on Uncle Jesse's farm on the outskirts of Hazzard County. She often gets involved in the exploits of them there Duke boys, and there's a little description of her which sums her character up perfectly, and I'll quote, "She drives like Richard Petty, shoots like Annie Oakley, and knows the words to all of Dolly Parton's songs." And as you can see, this is how she would usually dress, much like how Lorelai is currently dressed as they sit in the car waiting to go in to meet the headmaster. And it's not just their fashion sense they have in common. I reckon both Daisy and Lorelai know all the words to Dolly Parton's songs. Not sure if Lorelai's like Annie O though. Rory's finally having a sit down with the headmaster. He's having a look over her credentials, and he comments that she doesn't seem to be involved with that many extracurricular social clubs, to which Rory responds,
I work at my mother's inn after school sometimes. I was in the German club for a while, but there were only 3 of us, and then 2 left for the French club after seeing Schindler's List. So.
Schindler's List is a Steven Spielberg movie from 1993, and it tells the real-life story of Oskar Schindler, who was a member of the German Nazi Party in World War II and worked in Auschwitz, one of the concentration camps. Unfathomable horrors happened behind those gates at the hands of the Nazi Party, but Oskar Schindler, who was a Nazi, ended up changing direction and worked secretly and tirelessly to save hundreds of Jewish lives. And the film itself, it's hard-hitting. It's a tough watch, especially since they are real events. And so, of course, those in the German club who, after watching a movie that highlighted the atrocities that a political party from Germany committed, wanted to go and study French instead. Yeah. Now Headmaster Charleston wants to know about Rory's aspirations, and here's what she says.
I want to go to Harvard and study journalism and political science.
On your way to being...
Christiane Amanpour.
Really?
Yes.
Not Cokie Roberts?
No.
Not Oprah, Rosie, or one of the women from The View?
No.
There's a few to cover here, we'll do them in order. Christiane Amanpour is a British-Iranian journalist who's mainly worked with CNN and has covered major conflicts around the globe that have occurred over the last few decades. She started out as a correspondent covering the Iran-Iraq War and the fall of communism in Eastern Europe in the 80s. She then went on to cover the Persian Gulf War and the war in Bosnia, where she gained a reputation for being fearless whilst reporting in these conflict areas. Cokie Roberts was an American journalist who gained recognition for working with NPR in the late 70s, where she was dubbed one of the founding mothers of NPR. She went on to work as a political correspondent with ABC, eventually co-anchoring the political roundup show This Week. Oprah is Oprah Winfrey, and I covered her in more detail in my last video, but she had her own talk show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, which was the highest rated talk show in American history. Rosie is referring to Rosie O'Donnell, the actress and talk show host. She had her own show called, guess what? The Rosie O'Donnell Show. And it ran from the mid-90s to the early noughties. And she would chat with celebrity guests. It was all fun. It was all fluff. It was all just a little bit of yeah. And The View is yet another talk show that usually airs in the morning in America. And it's been running since the late 90s. And it features a panel of female co-hosts. And they talk about a wide range of topics. Political, social, all this type of stuff. And they usually interview celebrity guests as well. And of course, the rest of the scene does explain why these names have been brought up, but just for context, it's sort of weighing up between the integrity of real journalism and being on TV, the wanting to have your face on screen or wanting to actually report. And on one side is Christiane Amanpour, and on the other side is The View, Rosie, Oprah, and to a certain extent, Cokie Roberts, even though she was a political correspondent as well. But yes, that is what's brought up, and that is what Headmaster Charleston is bringing up right there. I appreciate his pop culture knowledge, if I'm honest, just being able to rattle them off like that. You must watch a lot of TV. The interview's over, Rory hands over her academic record, it gets pilfered and put into the hands of Paris. And this is what she observes.
Lorelai Gilmore,
Nice stripper name.
formerly of Stars Hollow High School.
Where's that?
Drive west, make a left to the haystacks, and follow the cows.
Ooh, a Dixie Chick.
The Dixie Chicks, now known simply as The Chicks, are an American country music band originating from Dallas, Texas. They started out as bluegrass, but their sound evolved over the years to become more country and more country pop, and they have been widely successful, winning 13 Grammy Awards, and at one point being the best-selling all-woman band and best-selling country group in the US. Upon hearing that Rory is from somewhat of a rural area, going on the description that Paris has given of where Stars Hollow is, Louise has gone, sounds like she's from out in the country, out in the sticks. She must be a Dixie chick. She must love those wide open spaces. But there's your trouble. Snobby prejudice. Some people, they're just not ready to make nice. Away from Chilton now, back in Stars Hollow, Lorelai's gone into Luke's diner in order to get a cup of coffee. There's no coffee to be had. This is the heated exchange that happens between them over that subject.
This is not an herbal tea morning. This is a coffee morning.
Every morning for you is a coffee morning.
This is a jumbo coffee morning. I need coffee and an IV.
I give you tea and a balance bar.
And if you don't know what a balance bar is, it's this. It's a protein bar. It's got some protein, it's got some carbs in it, it's got some fat in it. It's just meant to keep you balanced. That's what Luke wants to give to Lorelai, because Lorelai's saying, I need the stimulant of coffee, and Luke's gone, no, I'll just give you a relaxing tea and a balance bar to just keep you level. That's what you need. You don't need the spike of caffeine. You need to just be balanced. That's why I've got my peanut butter here, and I'll just eat it straight, because it's just protein, isn't it? It's just great. We're back at the inn. Lorelai's changed her outfit. She no longer looks like Daisy Duke, and this is what she has to say about it.
I look great, right?
Yes.
Yes, this is how I was supposed to look this morning. And I was supposed to look together and fabulous and not like I've been up all night playing quarters.
Quarters is a drinking game where the goal is to throw a quarter so that it bounces off a table and lands in a target, like a shot glass or whatever. So you just have to throw it and bounce and aim, and if you get it in, you win. My apologies to any Americans who happen to be watching this going, how does he not know what quarters is? 1, I'm British. 2, I don't drink. 3, I don't have any friends. Those 3 things are kind of working against me for knowing what quarters is. So to anybody else out there who happens to know what quarters is, now you know, maybe we can get together and play sometime. But maybe for like Sprite or something, because the bubbles will go to my head. The lovely sound of a harp is filling the foyer of the inn, but it's just a little too much.
Drella, please, a little softer.
Hey, do I look like I got Panasonic stamped on my ass?
Panasonic is a Japanese electronics company that make everything really, from batteries to computers to TVs, all sorts of stuff. And Drella is saying, what? Do I look like I'm a Panasonic, i.e., do I look like I'm a stereo that can just be turned down? No, no, no. I'm harping here. There's not a volume button on this. I'm just harping away. I reckon this would sound really good if I put music over the top of it. I'm currently playing the Prelude of Light from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And it sounds beautiful. If only you could hear it. If only you could hear it. A little one here, Miss Patty is teaching poise to her dance class.
Now walk smooth, that's a new Harry Potter on your heads. If they should drop, Harry will die and there won't be any more books.
Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire. This one specifically, thick book on head, have to stand up straight. If it falls, damage on feet, damage to Harry in book. Kind of like a Horcrux, Tom Riddle's diary, straight through, all of that. Let's carry on. Finally, Lorelai gets her coffee.
God, this has been one hectic, bizarro day for me.
Though not strictly a pop culture reference, it is born of one, and I figured I might as well talk about it. I collect comic books, let me enjoy this for a little bit. The word bizarro has entered the English language just to mean like strange, upside down, different, and it comes from the character Bizarro, who is the opposite of Superman. He was a clone from Bizarro World, and he is literally the anti-Superman. So instead of heat vision that Superman has, he has freeze vision because it's the opposite. And he thinks that being bad is good. He's like, oh, you hate me, that's a good thing. He thinks love is hate, hate is love. Anyway, it just means upside down, and it has become so synonymous with being the opposite that now it's just part of everyday parlance. So to say something is bizarro, as Lorelai is saying, she's had a bizarro day, she's had an opposite, backward, different kind of day. Thanks for indulging me. Let's carry on. A DSL was going to be installed in Lorelai's house, a digital subscriber line. It's a modem, it's like fast internet anyway. Emily has paid for it. Lorelai's not happy about that, so she goes to a salon to confront her mother.
But Rory needs the internet for her school.
We have the internet.
Well, this is faster.
Well, we like our internet slow, okay? We can turn it on, walk around, do a little dance, make a sandwich. With DSL, there's no dancing, no walking, and we'd starve. It'd be all work and no play. Have you not seen The Shining, Mom?
What on earth are you talking about?
And if you haven't seen The Shining either, oh my gosh, incredible movie. It's an adaptation of Stephen King's classic horror novel. It leans into themes of isolationism and paranoia. And basically, Jack Torrance is a writer who's gone off to the Outlook Hotel to look after it over the winter with his family. And he's writing away, tip-tap, tippity-tap on the typewriter. Eventually, his wife, Wendy, goes, let me have a look at this, see what he's written. And all he's written is the line, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, over and over and over again, because the seclusion of the hotel has driven him insane. The ghosts are talking to him. It's not good. And that's exactly what Lorelai is referring to here. If the DSL is installed, the internet will be so quick, they're just going to be working. Just going to be working. But with the dial-up modem of the waiting for it to connect, oh, there's plenty of time to have a little dance, have a little sandwich, all the good things, work-life balance. Also, well, Lorelai's just really pissed at her mother, to be honest. And well, this is just the straw that broke the camel's back, unfortunately. Well, not straw, more like a braided, plastic-coated wire for high-speed internet. That one. It's now the end of the first day at Chilton. My gosh, a lot has happened in one day. And Rory is decompressing.
Sweetie, you can't let those kids get you down.
I know.
Do you want me to talk to anybody? A parent, a teacher, a big guy named Moose?
Moose is Marmaduke Mason from the Archie comics. He's not the most academically gifted, but what he lacks in brains, he more than makes up for in brawn, being a big, muscly guy and considered one of the best athletes in all of Riverdale. And because of this balance, he's somewhat considered a Lenny character, being a gentle giant. His power should be threatening and intimidating, but he often uses it to protect his friends from bullies or to step in when someone needs help. And so over the years in the comic books and the TV shows, he's been shown to be loyal, kind and compassionate and always standing up for what's right and getting in the way of people who are being horrible to others. And so that's why he's brought up now. Rory's having a bit of a hard time with Paris. She thinks that she hates her, and Lorelai's gone, well, do you want Moose to maybe step in and sort things out? I mean, as much as I would like to see Moose in Stars Hollow, I would really like to see Paris Geller in Riverdale. That is the crossover we need. And so there we go, folks. That was every pop culture reference in season 1, episode 2 of Gilmore Girls. There are a few that I overlooked. The ones in the lessons, I thought, you know what? They aren't pop culture references. They're just giving a lesson. There's no point me explaining them because we're not in class. So, nah. And what was wonderfully suggested to me by a friend was to keep a running tally of how many pop culture references are covered in each episode, and then we can just keep a score to see which episode, after we've gone through all of them, has the most. So, for this episode, I counted 15 Pop Culture References Explained. That means out of 2 episodes covered, it sits in 2nd place because the pilot had 17. Just pipped to the post, had to get a couple more in just to get the production companies on board to make sure to pick it up for a full season. But yes, we're going 1 and 2 at the moment, so let's see if number 3 will have any more. But now we've done the pop culture references, let's have a look at a bit of trivia. There's not a lot of trivia for this episode, but there is a very markedly important appearance that happens the first time we get to see Paris Geller, who I have to say is one of my favourite characters, without a doubt. Here's the trivia that's attributed to her. Liza Weil, I really hope I said that correctly, was considered for the role of Rory. Amy Sherman Palladino liked her so much, she created the role of Paris for her. I love it because she absolutely smashes it. I honestly think she is one of the best acted characters in the show. She absolutely fills that role. You can tell it was made for her because she absolutely embodies it. And every time she's on screen, there's just so much character coming out, and it's not played up. It's the way that it's contained. It's the way that her personality is just so bound that actually it gives so much. Absolutely smashes it. And just one little tidbit here. It's worth noting that in the years since Gilmore Girls ended in 2007 and the revival began filming, the show's set was used for Pretty Little Liars. So if you happen to watch Pretty Little Liars and you think, why does that look familiar? Because it was Gilmore Girls. And there you go. So now my thoughts on that episode. I really like the fact that it all takes place on one day. There's not a lot of other episodes that do that. It's usually like night after and all of that type of stuff, but it just happens in one day. Because like the pilot episode, it spans over a couple of days. Other episodes do as well. And when you have a night-day cycle, it's the next day, yada yada, it forgives a lot of sins. An argument in the evening will usually be resolved in the morning because you've slept on it and everything's cured. So having everything in one day, you can just allow everything that's happened to just build up. And that's what you see at the end. You see the build up of the stress, the tension, the trepidation, the frustration on both Lorelai and Rory. And that shows different colors of their characters, which I really like because you see it in the morning, the frenetic, oh, we're late and everything's chaotic. And that's great. We know that of them. We've seen that in the first episode. We'll see that plenty. That's their defining characteristics. But then you get to see how that is tempered under stress, how that is tempered and forged in the heat of extenuating circumstances that are just affecting them, that are out of their control. I mean, Rory just wanted to go and study. She wanted to broaden her mind and expand her horizons, but she's been grilled by the headmaster. She's been not made to feel special. Like, I don't think she wanted to feel special, but she's been actively made to not feel special. And then to be bullied, basically, by Paris. Like, yeah, Rory knocked over her thing and everything, destroyed the project that she was making, but she's being picked on by Paris because Paris sees her as a threat. Paris sees her as an academic rival, but it's manifested as Rory feeling excluded, Rory feeling not welcome. And a first day at school, first days at school are terrible enough as it is. First day at anywhere is terrible enough, but imagine a first day when it's already halfway through the year, it's already been going on, you know, those connections have already been made, the years together. That must be so difficult for Rory as it is. And then everything else on top, not great. And then Lorelai's frustrations of everything to do with Emily. The relationship between Emily and Lorelai is such an interesting one. It's explored so well because it's money and independence that keeps coming in the way. Lorelai has just always wanted to be independent, just look after herself, not want to fall into the trappings of wealth. And Emily thinks just throw money at it. Obviously, that's a very oversimplification of Emily's character. Emily is also one of the best characters. Kelly Bishop does an incredible job of bringing that character to life because she could have just played her as a socialite, could have just played her as a rich busybody just wanting to, oh no, just throw somebody, you know. She doesn't. She's so nuanced and it comes out so fantastically as the series goes on. And even just then, even in like the salon section, when she gets put in a place, like just the look she has in her eyes, you can tell, oh, it's just wonderful. She does an amazing job. And as I say, seeing everything through the lens of one day allows an almost real-time build-up of emotion and a real-time reaction for you to follow along. without the reset of time has passed, which really puts things nicely. And it sets it up well because, as I say, the rest of the season, it's not set in one day, but we get to have a glimpse of those characters, how they react under pressure. Because you only truly know someone when they're stressed. Anybody can act anyway, but it's when they're tested and stressed that you actually get to see the mettle of their character. And we get to see Emily's, we get to see Paris's, we get to see Rory's, we get to see Lorelai's, we even get to see Luke's. Luke is a bit jealous hearing that Lorelai had a guy asking her out. And that's why he's a little bit terse. That's why he's a little bit tense. And one thing that I absolutely love, obviously it's sowing the seeds of this potential romance between Luke and Lorelai, is the very closing scene. It's such a little detail. Obviously, Lorelai is going, should I date Luke? And Lorelai's going, no. And it's just a bit of a joke. No, don't go for Luke. No. Luke's cleaning up in the diner. He's left the sign to open. When he sees Lorelai and Rory walking past, he goes, okay, and closes it. He was only staying open for the hopes that they would come in. He was only staying open to hopefully see Lorelai. And that is just a tiny little detail, which is absolutely beautiful. And it just lays this groundwork of something that's just going to be beautiful to watch, beautiful and heartbreaking to watch over the next few episodes and next few seasons. Bring it on. And so there we go, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening to me rabbit on. Once I start talking, it's very difficult for me to stop. But yes, hopefully there was some pop culture references in there that you found interesting. Maybe there's some that you already knew. Maybe there's some that you didn't know. Comment section down below is for you to type it all in. If there's anything that you were surprised at, anything that you'd gone, you should have known that. Any invites for me to play quarters, pop them down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. And if you don't want to miss any other videos that come out, feel free to subscribe as well. I'll be obviously doing all of the Gilmore Girls videos and episodes, but other shows as well. Done Friends, The Office US, The Simpsons, plenty of other shows to cover. So make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out. Oh, it was all going so well and then I stumbled at the last hurdle. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. My friends, luck and more to you all, and catch you next time.